And we are live, although you wouldn't know it because now he's got his camera on. So, good afternoon, East Coast. Good morning, West Coast. I'm Boomer Jim.
And,
Deontay
and
figured out his camera setting.
I am officially Gen X Deontay, and this is officially white to the point, a black and forth conversation. And Jim, as always, it is such an outstanding pleasure to talk with you and verbally spar with you, especially with the myriad of things going on this week.
Yeah. You know, the hell of it is, lately we haven't been disagreeing too much because anybody in politics is basically full of crap nowadays. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican to know that either side is full of crap.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that. I don't know. There's a cornucopia of things to discuss. Most importantly, the Iowa caucus.
Well,
No surprises here.
yeah, talk about the Congress. I mean, they were under fierce snows and cold weather and such. Well, the one thing about snow, that's the only time you can be that you can use the phrase between 8 and 12 inches and be talking about something white.
Well, I think Pete Davidson and Mark Wahlberg's character in that one movie would have something to say about that. But and Ron Jeremy, by the way. But I digress.
Yeah, and even that joke is probably offends somebody.
Well,
Say,
of course, that's the whole point.
hey, that's racist. It's making implications. Blah blah blah.
That's what
Oh,
we
good
do.
grief!
That's what
Get over it.
we
Yeah,
we, we stop on people's civil rights because neither one of us are civil whites. Okay, that's kind of the bottom line. But regarding this ridiculously lopsided Iowa caucus, apparently, from what I'm seeing, Trump got 51%,
yeah.
DeSantis sent
Record
20.
numbers.
Yeah, Nikki Haley 19%. What do you make of this?
I'm a bit surprised. I honestly expected to see Haley coming in at about 25% and Trump coming in at about 45%. I didn't expect DeSantis to do as well as he did.
Exactly.
But that being said, uh, I'm not going to say Iowa didn't mean anything, but it's not surprising that uh, Trump is going to win Iowa no matter what. We knew he's way out there. New Hampshire is the one that's going to really tell the story.
Yeah.
The question there is not can Haley beat Trump in New Hampshire. I would say she's got about a snowball's chance in hell of doing that. It would be nice, but it's not going to happen. But the real question is A, how close to Trump can she get? And B, how badly does she beat DeSantis?
Well, I think the real question is why is Trump attacking her like she is some kind of Negro?
I know there's no need for this.
I mean, what happened when he was like on Truth Social, for those of you who are the uninitiated, Trump has established his own social media platform. It's not new news. It's been going on for well over a year, probably more like 2 years, but it's called Truth
Yeah.
Social. And on Truth Social, he went on a tirade. Do we have a video of that? I don't know, but all I know is he went on a tirade about Nikki Haley, who is of what is she like a Native American or something?
Um,
I know she's some kind of form.
act, yeah. Uh, I think so. I have to look it up. To be honest, of course, to be honest, her ethnicity hasn't even has never entered my mind.
Yeah, I know.
Seriously.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't. But now Trump has me really thinking about her race front and center. Have you
Well,
seen?
the only thing his tirade did for me was just convince me more and more that the Trump that I was in favor of in 2016 degenerated in 2020 and now isn't even there.
Did you call Trump a degenerate? Wow, that's pretty cool. I remember he said that about Rosie O'Donnell, and she just started crying. We called her a degenerate in 2006, and then she proceeded to say, "That's why you went bankrupt like crazy." And he laid into her like nobody's business.
That was called being crazy like a fox.
Exactly. I don't know, man. It looks like we're in a lot of danger in this world with all this nonsense that's going on. I mean, it's just
Did you hear about Iran and Pakistan throwing bombs at each other?
yikes. No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Apparently, Pakistan launched a missile at Iran, and they said the reason they did it was to take out a terrorist camp, terrorists that were attacking Pakistan that were being sponsored by Iran. Nothing new there. Iran's a state sponsor of global terrorism. We know this.
Yeah.
Iran, in retaliation, throws a missile at Pakistan to take out a terrorist camp. Here's the good part. It's the same group,
Yikes.
the same terrorists.
So my question is, how scared should we be as American people?
Uh,
On a scale of 1 to yikes.
well, I don't think we're at the oh crap stage yet, but I would put us at the we're going to need another can of whoop ass.
Oh man, that's bad news. You know, the blonde bombshell, she just put that Biden has to go at all costs, even if it means Trump takes over. And that's starting to become the consensus opinion, with Negroes across America. Have you ever heard of that new group, Negroes Across America? It's the
No, I have not.
It's the NAA. Negroes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the NAA.
Now, wait, hang on a second. I thought that the word, the term Negro is no longer acceptable.
Well, Negroes are themselves apparently are not acceptable in this country. That's what I'm starting to hear from people.
Oh, for crying out loud!
Yeah, because they cry out loud when they're being mistreated. That's why they're no longer accepted in this country, from what I hear the government saying. But I digress.
Yeah, that'd be one way of putting it. That would be one way.
I don't know, man, but this election season seems like it is going to be a photo finish. And by photo finish, I mean a wide margin for Trump.
Well, here's the thing I don't get, and you can file this one under conspiracy theory, or at least under I don't understand this. What's going on? You got James Carville and other leading Democrat experts in policy and strategy and campaigning saying the Democrats should be worried.
Well, of course.
I mean, Biden's in trouble. Oh, quick side note. James Carville also said that Trump has to clap.
Well, he should have a clap.
No, Trump's got the clap. Syphilis, secondary syphilis.
That's what I said. He should have the clap. Why wouldn't he? I mean, he's passing himself around like chickenpox in first grade. But speaking about Democrats, what do you think about? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask you what did you think about on Fox News? They were reporting about what Mark Levine said, that the Democratic Party, they are all scam artists. Do you think the Democrats are scammers?
I'm going to say that there are Democrats who are scam artists. There are Republicans that are scam artists. I mean, if a person's a politician, you got to look for the scam right off the top.
Yeah, by definition, politician does pretty much symbolize being a scam artist.
Yeah, but but going back to Carvel and others saying that Democrats should be worried. I mean, they're coming out and saying it. And they're saying, why aren't you worried? Because it's clear they're in trouble.
Right.
And there's only two reasons that you don't get worried in a situation like this. You already know that the fix is in. Of course, that brings up the election rigging back in 2020. Or B, you got a different game plan that isn't in effect yet.
Yeah.
And that's my theory, is that days before the national convention, the Democratic convention, Biden is going to step aside and somebody else steps in.
Yeah. I know you said that. And
Yeah.
that's an interesting perspective. Biden doesn't seem like that he would actually let go of this power very easily. So that would be really interesting if something like that would happen. It seems like that because of Biden's ineptitude, people who don't want Trump in office are forced to have to root for him because it's the only way to rid the White House of the vermin that has become Joe Biden.
Well, first off, you got to ask yourself, or you have to ask the question, does Biden even know that he's supposedly in power?
I don't think he knows it.
I mean, there's no way in hell you can honestly think that he's in charge of himself. He looks and acts like a puppet.
I believe that Joe Biden has the awareness and competence of a rusted out paperclip at this point, which is kind of humiliating because when he and Obama took office a full 15 years ago, as a matter of fact, 15 years ago today, Obama took office, January 20th, 2009. So we're talking 15 years ago today. Biden was a different man 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He was only in his 90s back then.
Well, he could still walk up a flight of steps.
Yeah. Okay, if that's what you call walking, then apparently I need to brush up on my English. No, but seriously though, man, I mean, it seems like now we're at an impasse with who we want as president because we're like not really voting for people. We're voting against other people. And so we're like voting for people by default. And I've never seen this before because there was always a clear-cut choice. But not anymore.
Well, I've got a few more elections behind me than you have, and for a long time, it's felt like it's been the choice has been the lesser of two evils, but it's never been so much so than it is right now. And
Yeah.
if the choice is Biden and Trump, the only thing I can say is, thankfully, here in Nevada, we have none of the above on our ballot.
Mm.
So I can at least express my opinion. It doesn't count for anything, but at least I can make an official statement. I don't want any of these people.
But think back to the 1992 election when, I mean, come on. To me, it seemed like there's an obvious person you want between George Walker Bush and Bill Clinton. Of course, there was an easy, clear person that you felt would have been better for the job. And it hasn't been like that in quite a while.
No, it hasn't. Of course, the other choice would have been
H. Ross
two
Perot.
oh, that yeah, that'd be great. No, I was thinking 2004.
John Kerry.
Right, you had Kerry or Bush.
Well, people was really against Bush because of what he did with the 9/11 situation and how we were at war by the time the '04 election came around.
Well, the thing about that, when Bush went after Afghanistan, Great, fantastic. That was the right thing to do. He went in, he hit him hard. That was right.
Wow.
But then where he lost everybody was when he went into Iran.
Yeah,
Not Iran, Iraq.
exactly.
There was no need to do that, no reason to do that. Hey, Randall Schwartz is in here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Randall just made a great point. And I quote, I'd rather have President Trump than King Trump, dictator for life.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to use that for a tangent real quick. A lot of people are upset. I mean, they took note when Trump said, I'm going to be a dictator on day one.
Wow.
Now, let's be honest, Trump doesn't always say the right thing. I mean, his choice of words could be better,
Right.
but he clarified it later. He was going to use executive orders. Well, take a look at Biden. His first day in office, what did he sign? 29 or 30 executive orders? Wasn't that being a dictator?
Yeah.
So
I think it's better, like, to be honest with you, I think I'd rather have them reinstate Negro slavery than to have Joe Biden continue to throw us in the ocean. These migrants are doing some real damage to this country. And I didn't even realize it before, but it's to the point now where, there are actually some migrants. We have documented proof. The blonde bombshell, she found out that some migrants got into her Netflix account, and there was like several Netflix profiles that she had not created, and she traced them back to like near the border of New York City, and I couldn't believe that. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
there was a report last week, I think it was, of the people that they did manage to catch coming across the border. About a dozen of them were on the terrorist watch lists. So if they caught 12 on the watch list, how many got through that they didn't know about? And by the way, I want to give you a shout out to Randall. Randall is one of the most brilliant people I know as a programmer. He has been responsible for thousands and thousands of people like me learning Perl and making a damn good living at it. So, Randall, tip of the hat and thank you.
Well, Randall, it definitely is one of those guys that you want on your team. I tell you right now, even the things he's saying right now makes a lot of sense. The thing about Trump, he's saying all this stuff. He said that Trump had doubled down on that frequently. It's not a joke. I've heard 4 times when he's doubled down. He says Biden has to use executive orders because of the House GOP. At least the Senate is bipartisan. The House GOP is killing any progress, which is true. Even the non-MAGA House GOP are yelling at the MAGA. He says he's a long life Republican, but he's voting blue now until MAGA goes away.
The hell of it is, the whole concept back in 2016 of make America great again wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it took on a life of its own. To now, it's a hard right political group that's taken over the GOP.
I think you misspoke. I think you meant hard white political group. And I like the fact that he put the MAGA, which stands for Make Assholes Go Away. I think that's what he was trying to say when he said MAGA.
That'll work. That'll work.
It's really interesting, man. We got to figure out some way to exterminate this country of some of the more, radical people, whether they're leaning left or right. It's embarrassing. I mean, I'd rather see your good friend do all the leaning and not these guys. And I'm talking about your buddy, the one we were talking about the other day. The guy in the wheelchair. Yeah. I don't want to say his name. But what can you say?
Yeah, there's really nothing we can say.
So as far as
Yeah.
these comments by Mark
Yeah.
Levine, do you think we talked about before? Do you think Mark Levine has great points on this stuff? I mean, it's interesting some of the things that's coming in.
I don't listen to him anymore. I I used to listen to him a little bit. I did for a couple of months on talk radio because he was his show was on when I was driving. But him and Glenn Beck, when I hear them come on, I go to another station.
Well,
Uh, just because, like most of Fox News, most of MSNBC, they're way over on their side, almost 100% propaganda. If there's any truth at all in what they say, they throw out one little tidbit that might have a hint of truth to it and wrap it in a propaganda salad.
exactly.
So I don't even bother with them.
What about this story about that secret documents revealed that Joe Biden's border crisis was an intentional policy?
I don't know about the secret documents, but yeah, that's been going around now for some time. In fact, that's what's behind the Mayorkas impeachment hearings, and now I guess the impeachment trial. The GOP is going to impeach him. There's no question there. I think he should be impeached, to be honest. I think he should be fired. He's not doing his job. But he won't be convicted in the Senate. So it's an exercise in futility. We know this already. Uh, and the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is so heavily involved just takes away that much more legitimacy from it.
Right, exactly.
Because she's one of those hardliners. She's a MAGA Republican.
Exactly. It's embarrassing. I like what Randall says when he says, "Please let us get back to deals across the aisle." That's not going to happen without John McCain, because John McCain, they might have made fun of him for being a rhino. I don't believe that he was a rhino. I believe he was a true red Republican. I just think that he was not an idiot.
You know, it's interesting that you and Randall bring it up. I was just thinking back yesterday, thinking about last week where we were talking about the Civil Rights Act in 1964.
Yeah,
And I went and double checked the numbers on it. That was one of the great exercises and cooperation. Uh, the Democrats had a large majority in the Senate, and could have passed the bill easily, except for one thing. There's a group of about 26 Democrats, 25 or 26, from the South, who absolutely did not want that bill to pass, and so they filibustered it. And back in the 60s, a filibuster meant you had to stand and talk and talk and talk for hours. You couldn't just file a piece of paper and say, "Oh, I'm going to filibuster this." Oh, okay. No, you had to actually do a filibuster.
yeah,
And the Democrats didn't have enough vote to stop it, not by themselves. And so a group of 20 some Republicans joined 44, I think, Democrats in order to stop the filibuster so they could eventually pass the bill. Is like 23 or 26 Democrats were against the bill. 6 Republicans voted with the Democrats for that, but the large majority of Republicans joined with the Democrats in the Senate to pass the Civil Rights Act. That's the type of cooperation we need, where everybody's saying this is what's good for the country.
yeah. You know, I always thought J. Edgar Hoover was gonna find a way to get rid of that Civil Rights Act and put pressure on LBJ. You know, that guy he's one of those people that'll twist your arm
I don't know how he could.
behind the scenes. Well, because he just had that kind of influence. He knew that he couldn't do anything politically, but he can get politicians to kind of he can bring them to their knees, so to speak.
Yeah, supposedly Hoover had dirt on everybody in sight. He had a little black book, as it were.
Yeah, and it really was a little black book because everybody in it was black. That's why he was able to bring Martin Luther King down.
Oh, yeah.
It's embarrassing, man. I like that thing you put up the other day about Martin Luther King's holiday. You said, "Are you doing anything to exercise civil rights today, or are you just going to be, disrespecting a Negro?" I like that you put that up there. That was really thoughtful.
Well, the thing that caught my attention, and it was embarrassing on our show, is that I wasn't even aware that next Monday is MLK Day.
Yeah, I had to tell you.
There was zero publicity about it here in Vegas. I mean, we had a parade, but it went through downtown. There wasn't any real announcements about it. Like I said, it's embarrassing that I didn't realize it was MLK Day. Now, if I was still employed, I wasn't retired, I would have known about it because, I got a 3-day weekend.
Yeah,
It's
well,
MLK Day.
Well, black people they always know when it is because it's relevant to them. You don't think of it because you're only recently okay with blacks. But here's the other thing: if it was Sammy Davis Jr. Day, Vegas would have been celebrating because he made Vegas a lot of money.
Oh my, yeah.
They would have said, "Oh, you know what? This is National Tap Dance Day." Sammy Davis, but Dr. King, he never made Vegas any money. So you know what? Let's forget about that Negro and put him, in the back seat. That's pretty much what it is. It might sound like a joke, but I think that's probably what it is. Vegas always
It's
promotes.
possible.
I mean, they promote the money makers. You'll hear a lot of stories about Steve Wynn. You'll hear a lot of stories about Dean Martin.
Randall, thanks for showing up. That's what you got to look into. Yeah, it's vote blue or no matter who is the saying.
I like that. Project 2025 is scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta see what that is.
Vote blue or say goodbye to democracy. With that, I must leave. Yeah, Randall, he definitely put in more than just his 2 cents. That was about 50 cents.
Like I say, he's one of the most brilliant people I know.
And he's living very well. You can tell by his profile photograph.
Yeah. No, I first actually met him, I don't know, about 9 years ago, I guess, at Comdex in Florida.
Yeah.
But anybody who's a Perl programmer like me, we probably learned they probably learned how to program in Perl reading his book.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got several books about Perl published. He's one of the demigods of Perl.
So what's really interesting about that is that tells me that if he's such an expert at Perl, that he's probably responsible for Kamala Harris's Pearl necklaces. So we got to blame him.
Yeah. No, I was actually honored to be able to work with him at one company for a while.
Yeah, programmers are very, very rich. For example, this country is rich because they
are.
Well, let me put it this way: active programmers are very rich, and we're actively being programmed by this rich country of ours.
Yeah, yeah, the social programming going on.
It's embarrassing. It's a nightmare. It's going to
be that anecdote you were telling earlier before we came on about that delivery person. You saw your hat and was ready to run for the hills.
Yeah.
I mean, there's social programming. Well, in that case, was good reason. But
that was.
But have you noticed how much discrimination is going on, or not discrimination, but rather segregation is going on? I thought the whole idea has been to make this one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all. And here we are, self-segregated dormitories, segregated classes again, um, segregated graduation ceremonies, and just last Christmas, a segregated Christmas party thrown by the mayor of Boston.
None of that surprises me. I mean, I understand that you're going off.
What the bloody hell is going on? Is that supposed to bring us together and unite us?
Well, you're believing in that indivisible. Look, we're very divisible. I mean, that's pretty obvious. And people don't pledge allegiance.
Well, that's what they're teaching, though. I mean, you don't. Okay, you're not born like that. You're taught that.
People pledge malfeasance to the flag of the divided states of embarrassment and to the republic for which they sit. No nation under anybody that's very divisible, without liberty and no justice for the blacks. That's what it really should be, because that's what it actually ends up being anyways. So no, this is not founded on what they say it's founded on.
Well, the thing that got me thinking about initially was the NFL saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to have this singer sing the Black National Anthem."
Exactly, and the Black National Anthem is the theme song to Sanford and Son.
Now, the actual song was actually written in the early 1900s. I want to say 1901, and it's not even about black slavery. It's about the Israelites coming out of Egypt.
Exactly.
That's the slavery that is saying or celebrating going away. But once again, why do we need a national anthem and then a second anthem? So how is that bringing us together? How is that trying to unite us as one people?
So in other words, you're saying you want them to get rid of the Negro national anthem?
Basically, yes. I don't see a need for it in that context.
I love the fact that you actually finally laid it out on the table, the white privilege and the white exceptionalism. You said the Negro.
Oh, give me a break. That's not
you just
white
said
anything.
You just said you said they get rid of the Black national anthem. You said that. I'm not lying on you.
Yeah, but that's not white privilege or anything like that.
Well, why not get rid of the original national anthem and keep the Negro one? Exactly.
Because
Negro should be in power.
What they are calling the Black National Anthem is not about being black at all.
So you're saying being black is nothing at all? Is that what you're saying? I'm asking a question.
You're twisting my words, Deontay.
I'm trying to understand what you mean.
I'm saying that you talk about cultural appropriation. That's a good example of it right there. I'm saying having two anthems is just dividing the country yet again. This is what I say Democrats have been doing ever since the Civil War.
Okay, so who wrote the original national anthem?
Oh, John Scott Key, yeah, or Francis Scott Key.
Okay, now is Francis Scott Key black or white?
White.
So you want us to keep the white one, and that doesn't divide us? I mean, it's white, like that's what I'm saying. I mean, the country is a diversity of many races, is what I'm saying.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You're saying they should get rid of the black one, but keep the one that's white. That's no different.
Okay, fine. So we're going to have a Hispanic national anthem. We're going to have a Native American national anthem. Go right on down the line. That is not unifying the nation. Now more than ever, we need to recognize we're all alike. We're all one people.
Jim, you're missing the complete boat. This is what you do. You don't say something as snarky as we got to have a Hispanic one and a Negro one. No, the key is that whoever wrote the national anthem originally, they were all white people, pretty much. So, in other words, you draft a new one and have multi races contribute to the writing of it. Not have one for every race, just have it where people are going to be representative of it. You can't have black writers,
Okay,
white singers.
okay. Just because I'm curious, go ahead and Google the Black National Anthem. See who wrote it. I say it's written in the early 1900s.
Well, I'm sure it was probably some slave who was just, just biding his time until he got hung.
Google it. See who wrote it.
I'm pretty sure it was some slave who was biding his time before he got hung from the ceiling. If it was the early 1900s, who else is it going to be? It was either a black person who was a slave.
Considering slavery did not exist in this country in the early 1900s.
Well, no, for white people, no, you're right. It didn't exist for white people in the early 1900s. There's always a form of slavery, whether it's officially called that or not. If you won't let your wife leave, that's a form of slavery.
I'd be curious to know who wrote it, because I'd be willing to bet that a white person wrote it.
That's my point. I just said if it was either a Negro who was a slave biding his time before he was assassinated, or I was trying to tell you that it was either a white person who ghost wrote it, in which case is not representative of the black point of view. So that's even more of an insult.
Well, so far as women who couldn't leave and such, at least you got Teddy Roosevelt, a white man, who helped push through the women's right to vote.
Teddy Roosevelt was a joke. I'd rather have Teddy Ruxpin at the wheels when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Whereas right now, I would just love to have Teddy Roosevelt as president again.
Well, I think I'd rather go for Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Roosevelt had that racist mustache. Look at how racist his mustache was. It was curling at the edges. That is the perfect, that's the universal symbol of don't bring that colored boy in my house, because I'm gonna have to do something to that boy. Now that's not a joke. That's universal, man. That's the universal symbol of racism. When you have that truck driver racism curly Q mustache. Seriously. And if you don't believe that, that means you haven't spent more than 10 minutes being a Negro. Because if a Negro sees that, or if a Negro hears yee-haw, yeah, that means that you're probably gonna be limited in the rest of your life. You're not long for this world when you hear those and see those things.
Oh, Deontay. On that note, this discussion is going nowhere very, very quickly.
Exactly. When the Negro talks, the discussion is going nowhere. Exactly. Jim, stop being a wasp.
I am not a wasp. I am not Anglo-Saxon. I am Scottish.
No, you drink scotch. That doesn't mean that you're Scottish.
I am Scottish. My family is Celt.
Okay,
Scottish, Irish, and Welsh.
You're only saying that because you drink scotch. Okay, well, I'm vodka-ish. How's that? I don't see your birth certificate doesn't say anything about being Scottish.
Let's see the DNA report. And yes, my ancestry DNA report does confirm it.
Well, I don't know. I don't buy it.
It backs up our family tradition about 100%.
Well, I tell you one thing. I know what that dog whistle means when you say our family tradition. I think we both know what that means. Listen, I don't trust DNA. I'm going to be like Trump, where he asks Obama to provide a birth certificate. I'm going to need to see your birth certificate.
Now, the whole last 10 minutes or so has been filled with you coming back on every single thing I've said, putting a different spin and meaning on it.
No, I'm just.
And that is exactly what is happening in mainstream media and what the public in general believes, because they don't think for themselves. They just hear it on TV and say, "Oh, it must be true."
Jim, this is a black and forth conversation. This is not just something that's honky dory, okay? Seriously, that's all I'm saying. I'm supposed to just fall in line with the viewpoints. Come on, that's what a debate is. Wait, you ever see a presidential debate? Did you ever see Obama and John McCain? Did you ever see that? Did John McCain listen to Obama and say, "Hey, boy, you're right about that. Oh, you know what? And boy, you're right about that. And boy, you're right about that." Or was they going back and forth on their opposing views for the entire time?
But they stayed on their points. They didn't. They didn't twist it into something completely different.
Really? This thing I ask questions. The things I said ended with a question mark, not a period. I asked you. I say, listen, when you say these things, are you suggesting this? Are you suggesting, like I didn't say, hey Jim, you think the black national anthem is not good? I said, no. Are you trying to say that it's better to have the white national anthem than the black national? That was a question. That means you either say yes or no, and you make your point with it.
And on that particular question, the answer is we need one national anthem.
But you said get rid of the black one and keep the white one. That's what you said. That's not me twisting. That's what you said.
It is not the white national anthem. It's just simply the national anthem. It has nothing to do with race.
It does when everybody that wrote it was white. It's like me writing something about you. I'm gonna write it from a point of view of a black person. That's like you can't have white writers in living color. If you are writing in living color and you're a bunch of white writers, it's not going to come off as authentic because you don't have the point of view to write that.
You're
Because
right.
You told me, yeah, that's my point. I mean, can you imagine somebody who's black writing something about Chinese people, like depicting characters that are supposed to be Chinese, but you're black? How can you possibly know the nuances of being Chinese? There's a reason why WP doesn't only stand for white privilege, but it also stands for white power.
Well, we're definitely talking at cross purposes right now, and we're way overdone it too.
Exactly.
So, on that note, we're going to have some fun next week. We'll have the New Hampshire primary. We already know what's going to happen there. Oh, and real quick, going back to something Randall mentioned about that if the Democrats stay in power, democracy dies. Biden was so afraid of being challenged in New Hampshire and possibly losing to a challenger that the Democrats are completely ignoring the New Hampshire Democrat primary and say that the first one that counts is South Carolina, where Biden did very well. Biden lost New Hampshire in 2020.
Exactly.
And they canceled primaries in Florida and elsewhere. They're basically saying, we're not going to let you vote for somebody else. We are telling you Biden is going to be your candidate. That's all there is to it. You don't get to choose.
Sounds like pro-right and pro-life.
Yeah. It does.
It's going to be
you got people who know what's best making decisions for you.
Yeah, I think we both know what that means. It's another dog whistle, but it's okay. I don't know, man. All I got to say is Trump 2024.
Right now, like I said, I'm glad we got none of the above on our ballots. Although of everybody currently out there, I think I like Nikki Haley the best. Although I'd like to see Manchin run. I think Manchin would be an excellent candidate.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
What, the senator from West Virginia?
We would have been better off with Christie, but he wanted to just throw in the towel because nobody cared about him.
Yeah, there's stories now that Christie might start supporting Biden. He might endorse Biden.
That's embarrassing. That's worse than supporting Colin Powell or Clarence Thomas. It's embarrassing, man.
Definitely on this note. Deontay, thank you as always. I'll talk to you later. You have a good one. Folks,
Exactly.
join us again. Join us again next week for White to the Point, a Black and Forth conversation.
A virtual race war. Thank you, Jim. You're awesome.
Later.